What's good? It's your boy Fanon. All right, man. First of all, thank you everybody that subscribes to the channel. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon. Also, please be on the lookout for the live streams that we're going to do on this, that we do on the channel. It's always a very, very fun and enjoyable experience. Also, thank you to everybody that supports the cause that we support on this channel through Venmo, through the super chats on the live streams, and through Patreon. Thank you guys very, very much. It is much, much appreciated. Now, that said, look, I'm trying to make the shift mentally back to the welterweight division because the heavyweight division is just such a, it should be popping, but it's not popping because certain people want to make things go exactly how they want to go instead of letting the best fighters fight each other and seeing who the best is. You know, they want to orchestrate these things. And when promoters and commentators try to direct the flow of boxing under, for their own personal gain, under the guise of doing what's best for the fans, you often have things happen that are not for the best of the fans, because what a boxing fan wants, I would assume, is to see the best fights they can possibly see be made. There is some statistical evidence that says that might not be true, but some of that statistical evidence might be able to be explained away with, people settling for what they can get. But anyway, it is what it is with that, with the heavyweight division. But in the welterweight division, prior to Anthony Joshua having all the pressure put on him for being a reluctant competitor, the previous king of that title was Keith Thurman. And now it seems as if Keith Thurman is coming back. A report came out, shout out to badlefthook.com, who released this information this morning, that Keith Thurman could make a return on August 4th. Thurman has been out of action since March of last year, 2017. According to an ESPN source, former unified welterweight title holder Keith Thurman could be making his return to action on August 4th at Brooklyn's Barclays Center. The WBA titleist recently had to vacate his WBC belt he won from Danny Garcia in March 2017 as various injuries prevented him from making a timely defense. Now, Garcia will take on Sean Porter for the vacant WBC strap. Following Thurman's win over Garcia last year, he underwent surgery to his right elbow to take care of lingering damage in the area, removing bone spurs and calcium deposits. He was expected to return this spring, but those plans were scuttled after Thurman reportedly suffered a badly bruised left hand in training. Once it's officially confirmed that Thurman will be returning to the ring, it's expected that he'll take a tune-up fight or two before then possibly facing a much stiffer challenge by once again trying to unify welterweight titles. Time will tell. I love how this guy shot out to Will Esco on that last line. Time will tell. Who knows? Been here before, done this before. And it just keeps going on and on and on with Keith Thurman and these injuries. Now, I think that this is important for a couple reasons. Once he gets back into the ring, he is defending the WBA belt. But if he comes back in August, the time frame for that is August, right? So then maybe he fights another time in December. So what is it? August, September, October, November, December. Say he fights in December, right? And then if he fights in December and you go another 4 months, and this is just assuming he's being active at a level he's not been active at in years, he will be back in the April, May time frame for a serious fight. So pretty much that means that if he takes 2 tune-ups, and I think he'll take 2 tune-ups because he hasn't fought in at that point, he would not have fought in a year and a half, almost a year and a half. Well, actually, over a year and a half. So over a year and a half, he'll probably take two tune-up fights. One to test it, and another one just to test it for the hell of testing it again, because that's Keith Thurman. So we'll get him in to a major competition. Just say if everything goes right, that means May of the next year. He might be in something that's in a serious match. So what that means is he's probably going to face, if they can get away with it, the winner of Garcia and Porter to try to get his WBC belt back. If they still have it, because hopefully somebody after Errol Spence, and I do believe he will, beat Carlos Ocampo, a fight that I'm very much looking forward to. And I'm looking forward to it because Errol Spence he's got to stay busy. He can't just sit around waiting for these other top guys to decide to fight him. But like I said, for this year, I'm just really looking at unifications, and people repeating what was done by Terrence Crawford last year. And actually the guy that has the best chance to do it this year is either Gassiev or Alexander Usyk in cruiserweight. But that said, Errol Spence, I think Errol Spence, hopefully, according to Errol Spence thinks that these dudes won't be able to run from him, being the winner of Danny Garcia and Sean Porter. I like 49. I've said this in other videos on 49, 51, like 51, 49, or 50.1 to 49.9, 49.9 favor of Danny Garcia in the Sean Porter fight, just because I think he's a more well-rounded fighter, is a little more skilled. But so I would expect Danny Garcia to win that fight. I'm telling you, and I'm just asking you, somebody just sticking, threatening me and making me pick somebody. Really, I mean, truth be told, I don't know who's going to win that fight between Garcia and Thurman. Between Garcia and Porter. But hey, man, I'll take it. I'll take it any way that I can. Wow, I had to stop that phone. That phone was really, really distracting. But anyway, so what I hope will happen is that Errol Spence will fight the winner of either Danny Garcia or Sean Porter. And then if that happens, hey, I definitely believe that Errol Spence Jr. is going to wind up having the IBF and the WBC. There's questions asked about, is all these people I don't understand what these nipple gazers are talking about. But because I try to tell you, man, the only thing that I would change about boxing is dudes will be fighting with their shirts on. Because I don't understand how people be looking that seriously at these dudes be looking that seriously at Errol Spence's chest. But that aside, he said that he's already getting in plans to get on VADA, get into VADA's testing protocol so that he can be all set and ready to go to fight the winner of Sean Porter and Danny Garcia. And the winner of that, in my mind, I don't think either one of them. I think the guy that has the better chance against Errol Spence is Sean Porter. But when I say better chance, I mean he might have a 30% chance, like 70-30, something like that. But, I don't think he's going to, I'm having a hard time believing he's going to being convinced that he can get past Danny Garcia. But anyway, he's going to beat either one of those guys. And in my opinion, he beats either one of those guys. So when Sean Porter comes out, when Keith Thurman comes out, then Keith Thurman's either got to go the Terrence Crawford route or he's got to go the Errol Spence Jr. route. That's what I'm hoping. And knowing Keith Thurman will go the Terrence Crawford route or the Jeff Horn route. Definitely the Jeff Horn route if definitely the Jeff Horn route if Jeff Horn wins. More than likely the Terrence Crawford route if Terrence Crawford wins, which I believe Terrence Crawford will win. I think that Jeff Horn has a better chance than a lot of people are giving him. But I do think that that Terrence Crawford is without a doubt the better, the more highly skilled of the two fighters, and that he's going to win that. That he's going to win that fight. It's either going to get stopped on cuts or it's going to be a decision win. One or the other. I don't think that Terrence Crawford is going to run up and do him like he did Julius Ndungo, all bent over and looking like he want to cry. Like, God, dog. He hit him with that body shot. That was ugly. I don't think it's going to be like that with Jeff Horn. I think that his face is going to get opened up more than likely. But regardless, that's how I could see that going. And with the mentality of Terrence Crawford, I think that he would definitely push to try to get Keith Thurman. As soon as if Errol Spence Jr. is not available, I think Terrence Crawford would probably go straight for Errol Spence Jr. if he could. But Errol Spence Jr., I think, really has his mind set on getting that WBC belt. And now clearly I've never met Errol Spence Jr., never talked to him, but I just have this feeling like he wouldn't mind giving Keith Thurman a nice little pummeling for having had him wait so long in order to get that shot. Because there's a lot of things in Black Fight Fan TV's channel. If you're not subscribed to, definitely subscribe to Black Fight Fan TV. If you go through his videos, he a lot of times will explain the background behind how how Errol Spence Jr. wound up going the route of the IBF because he couldn't get a shot. I think might have been the WBC. The WBA that he couldn't get a shot out, because I think at the time that he really first started trying to fight Keith Thurman, I think Keith Thurman was had the WBA belt. I don't think that he had the WBC belt. But I'm not as well versed on the history of that title hunt for Errol Spence. But I do know that Errol Spence had to take just about the hardest route you could get in the welterweight division to get his belt. And that was to get the IBF belt off of probably the best welterweight at the time, Kell Brook, by going over to Sheffield and beating the brakes off of Kell Brook in Sheffield. And I'm going to say this, man, I think I said it in my last video, man, that beatdown, if there's one thing that I believe besides money and Eddie Hearn's desire to control things, that is preventing Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua from happening, it's the Kell Brook Errol Spence Jr. fight. Because Kell Brook, I know Eddie Hearn didn't want that fight to happen, and Kell Brook overrode him, got in the ring with Errol Spence and got his eye socket busted. And Kell Brook can act like he wants to get Errol Spence at 154. From what I understand, it's going to be even worse at 154 pounds. So anyway, that's what I'm hoping can happen with this return of Keith Thurman, because, and honestly, it's no more important for me with the Keith Thurman returning than knowing what's going to happen and putting that WBA belt in play. Because every time Keith Thurman fights, that WBA belt is in play. I also know that he is also, I think, becomes the mandatory for the WBC winner, the winner between Danny Garcia and Sean Porter. But with this time frame he's on, that's not going to materialize until, like I said, maybe May of next year. So when they fight, after Danny Garcia and Sean Porter fight, there is more than likely going to be one fight that winner would have, if not two fights, before they would fight Keith Thurman. Just because it seems as if their fight might happen before Keith Thurman's return happens. And that's just saying if he gets back on August 4th, he might not come back August 4th. This is Keith Thurman we're talking about. So, it's just really interesting, man. But with all the workings and all the stuff going on with these fights, the most important thing for me as a fight fan is to see a unified champion. I mean, when I mean unified, like there only be one champion in the weight division. And it can happen at cruiserweight. It's one fight away. It's one fight away at heavyweight. That is the most frustrating thing for me, that it is just one fight away at heavyweight. But like I said, unfortunately, we have a boxer and a promoter that care more about seeing their names, their initials in flames, and hearing the roar of willing to take pay cuts to not do it. God, dog, man, I can understand. I mean, I can't even really chastise him about wanting to fight in front of his fans. Who wouldn't want to do that? That's a reasonable thing, to want to fight in front of people the people that admire you, people who are your fans, people that are rooting for you. Of course that's something you want to do, but that's not the only thing a champion needs to do, right? A champion, the NBA champion has to fight. Matter of fact, in like football, you have to fight at a neutral site. For the Super Bowl, in the NBA, you get half of your games on the road and half of your games at home. Same thing with baseball. Or actually it's 4-3. You got to have an odd number in basketball, right? You get there's only a little bit of home court advantage in those series. In basketball, teams play both. When you play a team, you play both at home and you play on the road, right? If a team from one conference plays a team from the Eastern Conference plays a team from the Western Conference, unless these numbers have changed, I don't think they have. They play at least twice a year. They play every team in the league one time a year, and at home, and then they play on the road as well. I do believe that's how that works in the NBA. I think that everybody plays. They've got a situation where all the teams play each other at least twice in their 82 game season, their ridiculously long season. But they play at the home and they play on the road. Anthony Joshua got himself into a situation where he talked himself into a situation where he would get more money by fighting on the road. But he doesn't want to fight on the road. He only wants to fight at home. Right? People can say, Floyd Mayweather Jr. did the same thing. Floyd Mayweather Jr. did not do that during the beginning of his career. Once he got to the top of his career, he did stay in the MGM Grand in Las Vegas, but I think that had a lot more to do with the fact that he was making more money. Floyd Mayweather Jr. was not going to take a pay cut to fill a stadium in Detroit. There's no say. I can't remember where he's from. Is Grand Rapids? I don't think he's from Grand Rapids, but he's from Michigan. The biggest city close to that is Detroit. Close to him is Detroit. So, but he's definitely not going to turn down and take a pay cut to fight in Detroit. But it is what it is, man. And people's priorities are what people's priorities are. I just want to see unification. I want there to be one champion. If Deontay Wilder fought Anthony Joshua and Anthony Joshua won a legitimate fight, won by knockout or something like that, then you just got to take your hats off to dude and say that's the heavyweight champion of the world. Now, when Tyson Fury gets right, fight Tyson Fury. And I'm looking forward to Tyson Fury coming back as well. One of the few highlights in the heavyweight, that and Luis Ortiz knockout, the big highlights of the boxing year so far in the heavyweight division. But with Keith Thurman at least putting the WBA back online in the welterweights, it looks like it's going in a direction where we might be able to, see unification in the welterweight division maybe in the year 2020, right? I doubt that it happens in 2019, but maybe by 2020 they can get to where this cruiserweight tournament got the cruiserweights in 1 year. Anyway, it is what it is, man. Welcome back, Ponytail, and I'm out. Peace.